Halo 4 is one of, if not the most divisive game in the franchise. After Bungie bid their farewell, Microsoft assembled a new studio from talent all over the industry with the task of continuing Halo. Before you leave your 343 hate comment down below, remember we are just ranking the missions here within the game and not comparing it against the other games in the franchise. That video is for a different day. So please stop typing that hastily written comment and actually think about how these missions stack up against each other. So, without further ado, let's take a look at my rankings for the Halo 4 missions. I've always been surprised that Reclaimer isn't more hated. The mission is a chore to play through. Long as it is repetitive, you will be begging for this snooze fest to end faster. Halo 4 often over-relies on rule of 3 mission design, but Reclaimer takes it to the next level. I get what they were going for. Players gearing up at their mobile bases to go out and kick ass, coming back, re-gearing, and moving to a new objective. It's all a great idea and concept, it's just the repetitiveness of it all and the execution all fall short, especially when the later half, just like the rest of Halo 4, is all indoor arenas. The mission also drags for way too long. It could have and should have been a little shorter, especially since if you cut the padding out, it may have been towards the top of the list. SHUTDOWN is arguably the worst offender when it comes to the aforementioned rule of 3 objective issue. It's also extremely linear. I'm not going to spend too long on this one. It's pretty clearly one of the driest, most forgettable missions. It has some cool moments, I guess, such as using the Pelican's arsenal of weapons it carries, but you use up the ammo on these weapons in the first encounter anyway, so yeah. Truthfully, not much here to praise. Too linear, too repetitive, and not memorable enough. Dawn. Dawn is the mission that kicks off the 343 Industries era of Halo, and in many ways this is a return to form for a Halo opening level. While it doesn't incorporate the same amount of alternate routes as Pillar of Autumn, and suffers from too many QTE events, it brings the opening missions back to tightly scripted linear arenas. I like these for opening missions because it allows the player to get comfortable with the controls, gunplay, and flow of combat without being tossed into too open or challenging of an area. The beginning builds the tension extremely well before you finally meet the Covenant again. Almost any Covenant-only mission is going to fare better than a Promethean-heavy mission, even if the Covenant are a little less dynamic than they had been in the past. The overly scripted sections are unnecessary, but this isn't a bad first entry for 343. Midnight's opening sets the stage for what could have been one of the best concluding missions in Halo. However, after the A New Hope-style trench run, the rest of the mission is far less climactic. It's mostly copy and pasted platforms against Prometheans. There are some cool power weapons to be used in the beginning, but the latter half is clearly padded, especially when you consider it uses more rule of 3 objectives. The beginning trench run is one of the better moments in the game, and it doesn't drag like Reclaimer or SHUTDOWN, so I do have it towards the middle here, but I still can't put it any higher than this. Requiem has a lot of great moments, but it also falls short in some areas. The reveal of Requiem is a great piece of in-game storytelling, and the gameplay is more open than a lot of Halo 4. This is also a Covenant-only mission, which means you don't have to fight the snooze-fest Prometheans. However, while the level design does open up a bit, it isn't nearly as open and free as past games. It reminds me of Halo 2's Outskirts, where it almost opens up, but it falls short of where it should be. It also closes up way too fast, and not having anyone to gun your Warthog is a weird choice to say the least. You drive around in it, and then get off and shoot enemies, and it just feels kinda weird. Aesthetically, I really like Requiem as well. Forerunner architecture might be a little too chrome, but this is the closest the game gets to bringing in the original design of the Forerunners. I also love green landscapes, I just can't help myself. So good job for Requiem, not a bad mission too. Infinity is the third best mission in Halo 4. In a lot of ways it has the best variety of any mission. You get introduced to the Mantis, a new mech vehicle, and you do have the obligatory tank section. Even the defense section isn't the worst, as you really have very little room to move. And you're not defending a whole area, you just have to bunker down and hold the line. It helps that the defense section doesn't go on for a super long time as well. I absolutely love the jungle setting. It looks absolutely beautiful, especially with the neon oranges and blues as accent. The stark contrast gives the mission a really unique look. I think having the Covenant and Prometheans teaming up after only one mission of having them be enemies was a huge missed opportunity. While the vehicle sections are too linear, the sections feel a little disconnected, and it has some of Halo 4's other issues. Infinity is definitely one of Halo 4's stronger missions, all things considered. Composer is like a defibrillator shot to a dying game. At this point in the campaign, Infinity feels like a lifetime ago, as you just finished slogging through Reclaimer and SHUTDOWN. I always find myself feeling as though I may never regain interest in the game, but then I play through Composer and instantly I feel more awake and invested. It may be mostly indoor areas, but the arenas are well designed, and while I'm not judging the story here, having a little more context increases my investment. It can also not be understated how having NPCs around you helps. The scientists and fellow soldiers make Composer feel a little more alive as compared to SHUTDOWN. There's also a Mantis section, so it's cool to have a second crack at using the new vehicle. The higher emphasis on fighting Covenant also helps separate it from some of the other linear infantry missions. The best mission in Halo 4, for me at least, is Forerunner. The thing that stands out to me is how it utilizes 3 faction battles. While the Prometheans are arguably the weakest enemy in Halo history, their implementation in this level is rather solid as they can play off the Covenant rather than carry the load. The biggest problem I have with Forerunner is the overuse of Rule 3 objectives. I'm sensing a theme here. They really should have used less padding as it gets pretty repetitive by the end, but all things considered, the introduction of the Prometheans works very well, and gives us a flash of some of the design choices that made the original trilogy great. So when I look back on all the missions on offer, I think Forerunner deserves the top spot. So that's Halo 4's missions ranked with some explanation as to each of their rankings. Make sure you guys leave your lists down below because I do love reading them. And that's gonna be it. I'm never doing another one of these again. No, you can't make me play Halo 5. I won't do it. Okay, I'll do it. For you guys, I'll sit through that game again. Somehow. See you guys next time.